They say the heart wants what it wants, but what happens when what your heart wants is absolutely, completely, undeniably off limits? When the person who makes your pulse race and your breath catch is the one person you should never, ever fall for. This is the story of how I fell in love with my sister's best friend, and how she fell just as hard for me. The summer I turned 25, I came back to Portland after 4 years of chasing ghosts in Los Angeles. My screenwriting dreams had fizzled into a string of unpaid internships and a soul-crushing job writing clickbait for a lifestyle blog. My bank account was a graveyard of overdraft fees. So there I was, dragging my scuffed-up duffel through the front door of the house I grew up in, the one with the crooked mailbox and the hydrangeas Mom refused to prune. My name is Julian Park, and if you told me that coming home would ignite the most intense, beautiful, catastrophic love story of my life, I would have rolled my eyes so hard they'd have fallen out of my skull. My older sister, Maya, still lived at home, by choice, not failure. At 28, she was killing it as a pediatric nurse, saving up for a condo downtown. We'd always been tight, even with our polar opposite vibes. She was the extroverted planner, the one who color-coded her planner and hosted game nights. I was the brooding dreamer, the one who spent weekends holed up with notebooks and noise-canceling headphones, scribbling dialogue no one would ever read. "Jules, get your ass downstairs." Maya's voice ricocheted up the stairs on my second morning back. I groaned, peeling myself off the mattress. It was 8:30 a.m. on a Sunday. Some of us valued sleep like oxygen. Yeah, some of us have lives, I muttered, stumbling down in a faded UCLA tee and pajama pants, my dark hair a bird's nest of neglect. The smell of Dad's legendary cinnamon French toast hit me like a hug. My stomach betrayed my grumpiness with an audible growl. That's when I saw her. Sofia Alvarez stood in our kitchen like she'd been carved from sunlight, laughing at something Dad said, her whole face glowing with that effortless warmth that made everyone feel seen. She'd always been gorgeous, but 4 years had sharpened her into something lethal. Her curls were longer, cascading in loose waves that caught the light like spilled ink. She'd traded her high school hoodies for a fitted emerald blouse that hugged her curves in ways that should have been illegal. But it was her eyes, hazel, flecked with gold, sharp enough to cut through bullshit, that stopped me dead, and they were looking right at me. Julian. Her voice was lower now, velvet over steel, and it slid down my spine like a secret. "You're back." Before I could string together a coherent thought, she crossed the kitchen in 2 graceful steps and pulled me into a hug. She smelled like jasmine and fresh rain, and her arms lingered just a fraction too long, her hand warm against my shoulder blade. "Hey, Soph," I managed, my voice cracking like a prepubescent disaster. "Look at you," she said, pulling back but keeping her hands on my arms, her smile soft and dangerous. "LA didn't kill you. I'm impressed." Maya clapped Sophia on the back, oblivious to the way my heart was trying to punch through my sternum. Sophia's basically our 3rd kid at this point. Mom's adopted her. Someone has to keep Maya from living on coffee and spite. Mom swatted Maya with a dish towel. "Sophia, mi amor, sit." Julian, stop lurking like a vampire, eat. Breakfast was a special kind of torture. Sophia sat across from me, and I became hyper-aware of every micro-movement. The way she tucked a curl behind her ear, the way her fingers curled around her coffee mug, the way her foot accidentally brushed mine under the table and stayed there for a beat too long. She'd become a journalist, working for a progressive outlet downtown. She'd just finished a series on gentrification in North Portland, her voice crackling with conviction as she described it. "It's not just about buildings," she said, leaning forward, her eyes blazing. "It's about people. About who gets to call a place home. About who gets erased when the rent doubles." I found myself nodding, drawn in like a moth to a porch light. That's exactly it. Stories aren't just words on a page. They're lives. They're history. They're the difference between being seen and being forgotten. Aren't just words on a page. They're lives. They're history. They're the difference between being seen and being forgotten. Her gaze locked onto mine, and the air between us crackled. Recognition. Understanding. A spark that made the rest of the world blur into static. "Exactly," she said, her voice softer now. "Meant only for me. I knew you'd get it." Maya, as always, steamrolled the moment with a story about a patient who'd tried to pay her in Pokemon cards. But I couldn't stop stealing glances at Sophia, and more than once I caught her looking back. After breakfast, Maya dragged Sophia to the backyard to help with her garden, code for gossiping over mimosas. I retreated to my room, claiming I had emails to answer, but really, I needed to breathe. I'd known Sofia Alvarez since I was 16. She'd been Maya's best friend since middle school. A fixture at sleepovers, holiday tamale-making marathons, and every birthday party where she'd inevitably steal the show with her laugh. I'd had a pathetic, angsty crush on her back then. What queer kid wouldn't? But I'd buried it deep, labeled it impossible, and moved on. Except now, watching her from my window as she tossed a frisbee with Maya, her sundress fluttering around her thighs, those feelings weren't buried. They were clawing their way out, sharp and insistent and utterly forbidden. I forced myself to focus on unpacking, but my brain kept replaying the hug, the spark in her eyes, the way she'd said my name. Stop it, I told myself. She's your sister's best friend. She's straight. And even if she wasn't, she's off limits. My phone buzzed. A text from my LA friend, Theo. How's the prodigal son? Portland still standing? Me, barely. I think I'm in deep shit, Theo. Hot bartender? Cute librarian? Me, worse, my sister's best friend. Theo. Oh, honey. Is she gay, single? Me, zero intel, and I'm not digging. This is a 5-alarm fire, Theo, or it's fate in a sundress. When are you gonna stop writing tragedies, Jules? I stared at his message until the screen went dark. Playing it safe had always been my default. Safe scripts that never got made. Safe hookups that never asked for my number. Safe walls around anything that might actually matter. A knock on my door jolted me. Come in, I called, expecting Maya. It was Sophia. She stood in my doorway, and suddenly my childhood bedroom felt like a shoebox. She glanced around, taking in the movie posters, the stacks of notebooks, the chaos of my desk. Maya's raiding the fridge for sangria ingredients, she said, stepping inside. I wanted to talk. Without an audience, my throat went dry. Yeah, cool. Sorry, it's a war zone in here. Are you kidding? This is incredible. She moved to my desk, studying a storyboard I'd been tinkering with, a short film about a time-traveling barista. She picked up a panel, tracing the lines with her finger. This is good, Julian. Like Sundance good. Why'd you leave LA? I thought you were gonna be the next Tarantino. The sincerity in her voice cracked something open in my chest. I sat on the edge of my bed, and after a moment she joined me, leaving a careful foot of space between us. The making it part was a myth, I admitted. LA has a million dreamers, and I wasn't shiny enough. I burned through my savings on rent and ramen, had to call it quits. That's not quitting, Sophia said fiercely. That's having the guts to try and the brains to pivot. Most people never even leave the couch. I looked at her, really looked, and saw nothing but belief in her eyes. When did you get so wise? She laughed, a little self-conscious. I'm not, I've spent the last 4 years learning that plans are bullshit. The detours are where the real stories are. Something flickered across her face. Vulnerability, maybe. Speaking from experience? She took a breath. Yeah, I came out last year. The words hit like a plot twist I hadn't seen coming. My heart did a backflip, but I kept my voice steady. Oh, I didn't know. Maya never said. Maya doesn't know. I blinked. What? Sophia twisted her fingers together, a nervous tick I remembered from high school. Some people know. My mom, my cousin, a couple co-workers. But not Maya. It never felt like the right time, and... She met my eyes. I was scared it would change things. She's my best friend. I can't lose her. Maya's not like that, I said instantly, even as my brain spun with the implications. She'd be in your corner. She always has been with me. You're out to your family? She asked, a cautious hope in her voice. Since I was 17. Mom cried. Happy tears. Dad tried to start a P-flag chapter. Maya wore a free hugs shirt to my first Pride and threatened to fight anyone who looked at me sideways. Sophia's smile was soft, wistful. That sounds like her. Maybe I've been overthinking it. Probably, I said. Then before I could stop myself, why tell me? Why now? She held my gaze and the air between us went electric. Because I wanted you to know. Because when you walked into the kitchen this morning, she swallowed. I thought I'd buried this. Buried you. But then there you were, and it all came back. My world tilted. What are you talking about? Julian, I've had feelings for you since we were kids. Real ones, not some fleeting crush. I tried to ignore them. Dated guys. Told myself it was just because you were Maya's little brother, forbidden fruit, whatever. But it was never that simple. I couldn't breathe. Sophia, when you left for LA, I thought distance would fix it. Out of sight, out of mind. But it didn't. And now you're back and you're... She gestured vaguely like words failed her. You're you. And I know this is a terrible idea. I know it could blow everything up. But I can't keep lying to myself. She stood, moving toward the door. You don't have to say anything. I'm not expecting you to feel the same. I just needed to be honest. For once, wait, I said, the word ripping out of me. She turned, hope and dread warring in her eyes. I need time to process. You just rewrote my entire script. Good rewrite or bad rewrite? She asked, a ghost of a smile. I don't know yet, I admitted. But Sophia? Thank you. That took guts. She nodded, lingering for a heartbeat longer, then slipped out. Her footsteps faded down the stairs, leaving me with a racing pulse and a story I didn't know how to write. I collapsed onto my bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to my ceiling. Theo's words echoed. When are you gonna stop writing tragedies, Jules? Sophia Alvarez didn't feel like a tragedy. She felt like the inciting incident of a story I'd been too scared to start. The week after her confession was a masterclass in tension. She kept coming over, Maya's birthday planning, Sunday dinners, a girls' night that somehow included me, because Maya insisted I was basically a girl. Every interaction was a live wire. I caught her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. I caught myself memorizing the way she bit her lip when she was thinking. On Friday night, I was in the garage, digging through boxes for my old film camera, when she appeared in the doorway. Hey, she said, leaning against the frame. She wore a black tank top and cut-off shorts, her hair in a messy bun. I forgot how to speak. Hey. I clutched the camera like a shield. We should talk, she said. About everything. Yeah. I set the camera down, wiping dusty hands on my jeans. Look, I don't want you to feel weird. If you want space, I don't know what I want, she cut in, stepping closer. That's the problem. You're Maya's brother. Your family. If we did this and it crashed and burned... I know, I said. I've run every disaster scenario. But Sophia, what if it didn't crash? Her eyes searched mine. That's a big what if. The biggest, I said. But don't you feel it? She didn't answer with words. She closed the distance between us, her hand finding mine. Her fingers were warm, trembling slightly. Maya's at the store, she whispered. We have maybe 10 minutes. I laughed, a shaky sound. 10 minutes to decide the fate of our friendships? 10 minutes to be honest, she said. I looked at her. Really looked. The girl who'd been in every childhood memory, who'd grown into this fierce, brilliant woman who saw me, all of me, and still wanted to stay. I feel it, I said. I've always felt it. I was just too scared to admit it. Her smile was small, stunned, radiant. So what do? We tell Maya, I said. Together. No secrets. No sneaking around. If we're doing this, we do it right, she nodded, squeezing my hand. Terrifying. Exhilarating, I countered. We stood there, hands clasped in the dusty garage, the weight of 1,000 what-ifs between us. Outside, the summer sun dipped low, painting the world gold. This wasn't the story I'd planned. It was messy, risky, impossible, but for the first time I wasn't afraid to write it. The moment shattered. Lila gave me one last meaningful look, half apology, half promise, before she slipped out the side gate to join my brother on the patio, leaving me alone with my thoughts and a glass of red wine cooling in my hand. On Friday night, everything changed. Noah had gone out with his restaurant crew for their weekly family meal that always turned into shots and bad karaoke. Mom and Dad were at a charity auction downtown. I'd planned a quiet evening revising copy for a client's rebrand. But around 8:15 p.m., the doorbell rang. Lila stood on the porch, rain-soaked and breathing hard, as if she'd sprinted the 6 blocks from her apartment. "I can't do this anymore," she said without hello. "I can't keep pretending we're just Noah's little sister and Noah's old study buddy. Every time I see you, it's like the air gets too thick to breathe. Tell me right now if you want me gone, and I'll vanish. I'll find a way to be okay with coffee runs and group texts. But if there's even a sliver of a chance you feel half of what I feel, I need to know." Rain slid from her dark curls. Her linen shirt clung to her shoulders. She looked wrecked, desperate, vulnerable, impossibly beautiful. I should have hesitated. Should have listed the reasons this was catastrophic. Instead, I grabbed the front of her wet jacket and pulled her inside, kicking the door shut behind us. "I feel it," I said, voice trembling. "God, Lila, I feel it so much it terrifies me." Her eyes widened, hope flooding the hazel. "Yeah," I breathed. "I've been lying to myself for months, telling myself all the ways this could ruin everything. But the truth is, I haven't stopped thinking about you since that morning you spilled oat milk on my laptop and laughed like it was the best accident in the world. Since you sat on my bedroom floor and helped me outline my thesis. Since you were brave enough to say it first." "Jules," she whispered, my name soft as prayer. We stood inches apart, 3 years of almosts and 4 months of deliberate distance crackling between us. Her hand rose to cup my face, thumb tracing the line of my cheekbone with devastating tenderness. "Tell me I can kiss you," she said, voice raw. "You can kiss me," I answered, and then her mouth was on mine. The kiss started careful, like we were handling something breakable. Her lips were warm, tasted faintly of the peppermint gum she always chewed when nervous. When she sighed into me, the sound vibrated straight through my ribs. My fingers threaded through her wet curls, tugging her closer. Gentleness lasted maybe 10 seconds. 3 years of sidelong glances in lecture halls, 4 months of loaded silences at Sunday dinners. Everything combusted. The kiss turned hungry, urgent. Her hand slid down my spine, pressing me against her, and I gasped at the solid heat of her body. "Jules," she groaned against my lips. "I've wanted this since sophomore year." I answered by kissing her harder, steering her toward the living room sectional. We collapsed in a tangle of limbs and breathless laughter when her knee knocked the coffee table. Her fingers found the hem of my sweater, slipping beneath to trace the skin of my waist. I shivered. "Is this okay?" she asked, pulling back just enough to search my eyes. Pupils blown wide. "More than okay," I said, and dragged her mouth back to mine. We made out like we were still 20 and invincible. Heated kisses, exploratory hands mapping every sigh and shiver. She kissed along my jaw, found the spot just below my ear that made me arch and clutch her shoulders. I traced the lean muscles of her back through damp fabric, memorized the way her breath hitched when I grazed the dip of her spine. "You're incredible," she murmured against my throat. "I used to watch you in the library, headphones on, highlighters everywhere, completely lost in whatever you were writing. I'd sit 3 tables away pretending to study, wondering what it would be like to have all that focus on me." "You have it now," I said, tilting her chin up. "All of it. All of me." Her answering kiss was slow, thorough, dizzying. We shifted until I was straddling her lap, hands framing her face as we kissed until my lips tingled. Her palms settled on my hips, guiding the subtle roll that made us both groan. Even through denim and cotton, the friction was electric. "We should slow down," she said, grip tightening contradictorily. "Neither do I want to stop," I admitted. Forehead against hers, both of us panting. She laughed, shaky. "You're going to ruin me." "Good," I grinned. "Then stay tonight." "Not for it, just stay." "We'll talk. Figure this out." The tenderness in her eyes made my heart stutter. "I'd like that," she said. "I'd like that a lot." We spent the next hours curled on the couch, trading stories between soft kisses. She told me about coming out to her conservative parents, supportive in the end, but only after months of tense dinners. The string of almost relationships that never measured up because she was always comparing them to the idea of us. I told her about grad school in Portland, the isolation of late-night deadlines, the slow realization I'd been running from more than just Seattle rain. I think I was scared, I admitted, of wanting something I thought I couldn't have. Easier to keep everyone at arm's length. You don't have to do that with me, Lila said, lacing our fingers. I see you, Jules. I've always seen you. And I'm not going anywhere. Around 12:30 a.m., Noah's key scraped in the lock. We sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Lila grabbed a throw pillow. I snatched my abandoned wine glass. Noah stumbled in, clearly several whiskeys deep, and grinned when he saw us. Sis, didn't know you were still up. Leela, my girl, you guys watching something? He was too buzzed to notice our swollen lips, the flush on Lila's neck, the way we sat a careful foot apart. Just finishing a movie, Lila said smoothly. I should head out. Nah, crash here, Noah insisted, slinging an arm around her shoulders. Guest room's yours. Jules can take the couch. I'll take the couch, I said quickly. Lila gets the good pillows. We said goodnight. I lay awake on the lumpy sectional for hours, lips buzzing, heart ricocheting between joy and dread. Upstairs, I knew she was awake too. The house felt different, charged, like the air before lightning, ricocheting between joy and dread. Upstairs, I knew she was awake too. The house felt different, charged like the air before lightning. The next weeks were a masterclass in restraint. We couldn't keep our hands off each other, but we also couldn't tell Noah. Not yet. It felt too new, too breakable. Saturday mornings became sacred. Noah slept until noon after closing shifts. Lila would text me at 7:02 a.m., coffee run, and appear with 2 lattes and almond croissants. We'd walk the waterfront trail, fingers brushing deliberately, or sit in the backyard hammock while the city woke up. I feel 16 again, Lila laughed one morning, legs tangled with mine under a blanket, ready to bolt if the back door creaked. Sneaking kisses, living for coded texts. Except in high school you barely looked at me, I teased, nipping her earlobe. This is an upgrade. World's better, she agreed, kissing me until the croissant crumbled forgotten between us. But the secrecy gnawed. Every group dinner where I couldn't trace the inside of her wrist under the table felt like swallowing glass. Every time Noah called her dude and slung an arm around her shoulders, something in my chest twisted. We have to tell him, I said one Thursday night at her Capitol Hill studio. We were tangled on her futon, city lights striping the walls through half-open blinds, my head on her chest, her fingers combing my hair. I know, she whispered. I'm terrified of losing him. Losing Sunday dinners, losing the way your mom still packs me leftovers. What if he hates us? Noah loves you, I said firmly. And he loves me. He'll be shocked, maybe pissed we hit it, but he'll come around. Her arms tightened. What if he makes you choose? Then I choose you, I said without hesitation. Emotions flickered across her face. Surprise, fear, fierce joy. I'm all in, Lila. You're not a secret I'm ashamed of. You're the best thing I've ever almost missed. She kissed me like she was sealing a vow. When we broke apart, her eyes shone. Okay, she said. Together. Next weekend. Fate, of course, laughed. Friday. I told the family I was meeting college friends at a bar in Fremont. Noah said he was closing the restaurant, then crashing. What I didn't expect was Lila texting surprise. Same bar, back booth. What neither of us expected was Noah walking in early because the chef let them out at 10. Time dilated. I had Lila pressed against the brick wall near the dartboards, her hands in my hair, my mouth on the pulse at her throat. Noah's laugh cut through the music, then stopped. I looked up. His face cycled through recognition, confusion, understanding, betrayal. He stood frozen, beer untouched, before turning and pushing back through the crowd. Lila went pale. Jules! We chased after him into the rain-slick street, heels skidding on wet pavement. Noah was halfway down the block, shoulders rigid. Noah! I called. Wait, He spun, eyes glassy. How long? Lila stepped forward, rain plastering her hair to her cheeks. 4 months. We were going to tell you. 4 months? His voice cracked. I'm your brother. You're my best friend. And you're... He gestured helplessly between us. Behind my back? It wasn't like that, I pleaded. We were scared. We didn't want to lose you. You think this is how you keep me? He laughed, bitter. By lying? Noah, please, Lila said, voice breaking. We love you. This doesn't change that. He looked at her, at us, like we were strangers. I need space. He walked away, disappearing around the corner. We stood in the downpour, soaked and shaking. Lila reached for my hand. I let her take it, but the space between us already felt colder. The next morning I found Noah in the kitchen at dawn, nursing black coffee, eyes red. I'm not ready to talk, he said before I could speak. But I'm not leaving either, just give me time, Lila texted later. I'm here when he's ready. When you're ready, I meant what I said. I'm not going anywhere. I stared at the message until the screen blurred. The house was quiet, but for the first time in weeks, the silence didn't feel like hiding. It felt like the pause before the next note in a song we hadn't finished writing. Terrifying, necessary, ours. The summer heat in Austin was relentless, a sticky blanket that made the air shimmer above the cracked asphalt of the Barton Creek Greenbelt parking lot. I'd just finished a trail run, my tank top clinging to my skin, when I spotted her, Lila, leaning against my truck, arms crossed, her dark curls frizzing in the humidity. She wasn't supposed to be here, not after what I'd just overheard at the coffee shop. Harper, she said, her voice sharp enough to cut through the cicada buzz. We need to talk. I froze, water bottle halfway to my lips. Lila was my older sister by 3 years, my built-in best friend since childhood, the one who taught me how to throw a punch and parallel park. And Noah was her ride or die. The guy who'd been crashing on our couch since college, fixing our Wi-Fi and grilling the best barbacoa in Travis County. He was family. Until he wasn't just that anymore, how long? Lila asked, stepping closer. Her hazel eyes, same as mine, were stormy. I swallowed. Lila, let me... How long? Noah appeared then, jogging up from the trailhead, his running shirt soaked, earbuds dangling. He took one look at us and slowed. Everything okay? Lila whirled on him. You tell me, Noah. Harper says it's been 2 months. 2 months of you two lying to my face. Noah's face drained of color. Lila, we were going to tell you. This weekend. At the lake house. We scripted it out and everything. Scripted? Lila laughed, bitter and broken. Like this is some rom-com? You're my best friend, Noah. And Harper, you're my little sister. Did you think I'd just high-five you for banging behind my back? It's not like that, I said, my voice cracking. The parking lot felt too exposed, the sun baking us alive. It's not casual, it's... God, Lila, I'm in love with him. Noah stepped forward, reaching for her arm, but she jerked away. I love her, Lila, have for years. Since that summer, we all drove to New Orleans and she fell asleep on my shoulder in the back seat. I didn't say anything because you're my family. Both of you. But this, us, it's real. Lila stared at our joined hands. When had that happened? Then at the ground. A bead of sweat slid down her temple. You love him? She asked me softer now. More than anything, I said. I know it's messy. I know it's a betrayal of trust. But Noah makes me feel seen, like I'm not just the tag-along little sister anymore. The silence stretched, thick as the air. Then Lila exhaled long and shaky. I'm not mad you're together, she said finally, wiping her eyes with the hem of her shirt. I mean the sneaking around? That's bullshit. But you and Noah? She looked at him, a ghost of a smile. I always knew you were bi. You'd get this look when we watched those Ryan Gosling movies. I just didn't push. Noah's shoulders sagged. I should have told you. About everything. Yeah, you should have. Lila's voice softened. But I get it. And honestly, if Harper's gonna date anyone, I'm glad it's you. You've been taking care of her since she was 16 and got that concussion at 6th Street. Just don't hurt her, Noah, or I'll kick your ass with the cast iron skillet. I'd rather die, Noah said, and meant it. Lila rolled her eyes, but she was smiling now. Come on, let's get tacos before we all melt. And then we're having a real talk with Mom and Dad, because they're gonna lose their minds. Telling our parents was less dramatic than expected. Mom cried into her enchiladas. Happy tears, she swore, and Dad clapped Noah on the back so hard he staggered. Always knew you were good people, mijo, Dad said. Just treat her right. I will, Noah promised, and the way he looked at me made my chest ache. The next few months were a revelation. No more hiding. We went public at Lila's birthday barbecue, holding hands while she introduced us as the couple I'm still processing but ultimately support. Noah took me on real dates, picnics at Zilker Park with live music, late-night swims in Barton Springs, weekends exploring the hill country wineries. He was romantic in ways I'd never known, leaving sticky notes on my laptop that said, "Your code's messy but your heart's perfect," remembering I liked my coffee with oat milk and a dash of cinnamon, planning surprises like a private rooftop screening of Before Sunrise because he knew I loved Jesse and Celine's banter. You're ruining me for all future relationships, I told him one night as we lay on a blanket under the stars at Hamilton Pool, the water glowing turquoise below us. Good thing this is your last one, he said, rolling to face me, his fingers tracing my collarbone. I'm not temporary, Harper. You're my person. Pretty confident for a guy who once lost a bet and had to wear a unicorn onesie to ACL? About us? Yeah. I've been in love with you since you were 19 and tried to teach me Python. I'm not letting go. I kissed him then, the kind of kiss that felt like a vow, the hill country breeze carrying the scent of cedar and possibility. But life isn't a highlight reel. In November, I got an offer I couldn't refuse, a 6-month contract in San Francisco with a gaming studio, designing UI for their new open-world RPG. It was my dream. Creative control, industry connections, the kind of project that could put my name on a credits roll. It was also 1,700 miles from Austin. From Noah. You have to take it, Noah said immediately when I told him, even as his jaw tightened. Harper, this is huge. What I want is you, I said, gripping his hands. We just got real. I'm not ready for long distance. 6 months isn't forever. We'll make it work, can we? My voice was small. What if we drift? No what-ifs. He cupped my face. I told you you're my person. 6 months, 6 years, 60, I'm not going anywhere. Take the job. Build your empire. I'll be here cheering louder than anyone. You'd move to San Francisco? I asked, stunned. I'd move to the moon for you, he said simply. But I won't have to. You'll come back. And if you don't, we'll figure it out. Together. I stared at this man who'd become my gravity and felt something settle. No, I said. His brow furrowed. No, you won't move. Because I'm coming back. 6 months, then I'm home, to Austin. To you. Relief flooded his face. You're sure? I'm not giving up anything. I'm choosing what matters. I pressed my forehead to his. Besides, 6 months is nothing. We'll FaceTime every night. I'll fly home for South by. You'll visit the Bay. It'll be an adventure. An adventure, he repeated, grinning. I like the sound of that. The 6 months in San Francisco were a whirlwind. The work was electric. Late nights in the studio, my designs shaping a world players would live in for hundreds of hours. I made friends, explored the city, even learned to love sourdough. But every night I ached for Noah. For his laugh, his terrible dad jokes, the way he'd fall asleep mid-movie with his head on my lap. We FaceTimed religiously. He sent care packages, Whataburger spicy ketchup, a hoodie that smelled like his cedarwood cologne, a terrible watercolor of the Austin skyline he'd painted to prove I'm still the artsy one. I flew home for Thanksgiving, and the second I walked into our parents' house, Noah was there. Flour on his cheek from helping Mom make tamales. He crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed me like we were alone, not in front of 20 relatives. Okay, y'all need a room. Lila groaned, but she was grinning. Some of us are trying to eat pie. Let them be, Mom said, wiping tears. It's beautiful. At Christmas, Noah took me to the Driscoll Hotel, all twinkling lights and historic charm. On the balcony overlooking 6th Street, he pulled out a small box. "It's not the ring," he said quickly. "Not yet. I want to do that right when you're back for good." "But this—" Inside was a delicate rose gold band with a tiny opal. "It's a promise. That I'm waiting. That what we have is real. That when you come home in May, I'm spending every day proving you're my home." I kissed him with the city lights flickering below, and everything felt possible. May came faster than I expected. My last day in San Francisco was bittersweet. I'd grown to love the fog and the tech buzz, but as I packed my apartment, my heart was already southbound. Noah wanted to fly up to help, but I had plans. I landed in Austin on a Friday evening, the heat hitting me like a hug. I drove straight to his loft in East Austin, heart pounding as I climbed the stairs. When he opened the door, the look on his face was worth every mile. "Harper." He stared like I might vanish. "You said tomorrow." I dropped my duffel and kissed him, 6 months of longing in every second. His arms crushed me close, and we didn't care that we were blocking the hallway. "Surprise," I whispered. "Couldn't wait." "God, I missed you." He kissed my lips, my cheeks, my eyelids like he was relearning me. "Missed you so much." "Show me," I said, and he pulled me inside, kicking the door shut. We didn't make it past the kitchen island. Clothes hit the floor in a frenzy, hands desperate to reconnect. "Tell me if it's too fast," he murmured against my neck, fingers trembling as they slid under my shirt. "Don't you dare slow down," I gasped, arching into him. "I've waited 6 months to have you like this." What followed was raw and reverent, a reclaiming of each other. We took our time despite the urgency, whispering "I love yous" between breaths, learning new ways to fit together. Afterward, we lay tangled in his bed, the hum of the city outside, both of us glowing. "Move in with me," Noah said suddenly, tracing circles on my hip. I propped up on an elbow. "What? Move in? You were gonna look for a place anyway. Move here, let's start our life. No more distance." "Noah, that's huge. I've never been more sure." He cupped my face. "I love you, Harper. I want to wake up to your terrible snoring. I want to come home to your code on every screen. I want to build a home with you. Yeah, this loft's small and we'll fight over you. Your terrible snoring. I want to come home to your code on every screen. I want to build a home with you. Yeah, this loft's small and we'll fight over where to put your gaming rig, but I don't care. I want it all." Tears pricked my eyes. "You thought about my gaming rig?" He laughed, that warm, rumbling sound I'd missed like air. "I've been planning since you were 20 and beat me at Mario Kart. Yes, Harper." "Yes to all of it." "Yes," I said, kissing him. "Yes, I'll move in." Yes to everything. Moving in was chaos and bliss. My monitors took over the second bedroom, now my office. We argued over decor. He wanted industrial chic, I wanted cozy bohemian. We compromised with plants everywhere and a neon sign that said Ctrl+Z. We learned each other's rhythms. He was a night owl who coded until 3 a.m. I was an early riser who left sticky notes on his Red Bull cans. We navigated real life, meeting each other's colleagues, splitting rent, figuring out whose turn it was to take out the recycling. Lila came over every Tuesday for taco night, a tradition that made my heart swell. Watching my girlfriend and my sister bicker over who got the last elote while Noah refereed, it felt like the best kind of home. One night in August, 3 months after I moved in, I came home to fairy lights strung across the loft and Noah in a button-down that made his eyes look electric. "What's this?" I asked, dropping my bag. "I have something to ask you," he said, taking my hand. "And before you say I'm extra, let me do this right." He dropped to one knee and my heart stopped. "Harper Ruiz," he began, voice trembling but sure. "That night in New Orleans when you fell asleep on my shoulder and drooled on my shirt, I knew. Knew I'd love you forever. These past 10 months have been the best of my life. You challenge me, make me laugh until I can't breathe, make me want to be the man you deserve. You're my best friend, my partner, my home." He opened a box, a simple white gold band with a tiny sapphire. "So Harper, will you marry me?" Will you let me spend every day loving you, supporting your dreams, and arguing about whose turn it is to do dishes? I was crying too hard to speak, so I just nodded, pulling him up and kissing him through tears. Yes, I managed. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring on, hands shaking, and we held each other, laughing and crying in the glow of the lights. We told Lila the next day over brunch at Juan and a Million. She screamed so loud the waiter dropped a tray. Finally, she said, hugging us both. I helped pick the ring, by the way. Had to make sure it wasn't tacky. You knew? I asked, please. He asked my blessing like we're in a period drama. It was adorable, she grinned. I'm taking credit for this. I introduced y'all. You didn't introduce us, Noah said. We've known each other since I was 20. Details. I'm the best man and I'm giving a speech about how I manifested this. We got married the following spring at Lady Bird Lake, under a canopy of pecan trees with wildflowers everywhere. Lila was Noah's best person, crying through her speech about the time Harper coded a website to prank me in high school. My best friend Jonah flew in from Seattle as my person of honor, roasting me for all those late-night calls from San Francisco where I just sobbed about missing Noah. But the best part was standing across from Noah, holding his hands as we said our vows. I promise to always see you, Noah said, voice thick. To support your wildest ideas, celebrate your wins, and hold you through the losses. I promise to be your safe place, your co-op player too, your home. I promise to be brave, I said, tears falling. To choose you every day, even when it's hard. I promise to build a life full of code and chaos and love. To be your biggest fan, your softest place to land, your forever. When the officiant said, you may kiss, Noah kissed me like the world was ending and beginning at once, wildflowers catching in my hair. 5 years later, I'm sketching UI mock-ups at my desk when Noah bursts in grinning. Babe, the studio called. They want 5 more assets for the showcase. I look up, smiling as he kisses me. Even after 5 years of marriage, 7 together, his kiss still sparks. You're amazing, he says. My brilliant wife about to blow up the gaming world, says the guy who just won the AIA Austin Design Award. I tease, but I'm glowing. We've built a life. My career soared, illustrating indie games, consulting on inclusive design. Noah's firm specializes in community spaces, his latest a queer youth center in East Austin. We bought a bungalow in Travis Heights with a yard where we attempt gardening, and mostly kill succulents. Lila lives nearby with her wife Maya, and we still do Taco Tuesdays, now with their kiddo Sophia stealing all the chips. Life's not perfect. We argue about whose turn it is to debug the smart home. We have rough patches, launch weeks, grant rejections, the time I accidentally deleted his codebase. But we have each other, and that's everything. Remember when you thought loving me was a terrible idea? Noah asks, reading my mind. I thought it was complicated, I correct, wrapping my arms around him. I was right, but it's also the best thing I ever did. Same, he murmurs, kissing me soft and slow. Best terrible idea ever. My sister's best friend fell from me, and I couldn't stop him. Thank God, because loving Noah became the bravest, smartest, most beautiful choice of my life.